What looks like a simple omission on a wedding guest list is actually a devastating psychological blow. In the high-stakes world of royal warfare, silence is a weapon. And right now, the silence surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is deafening. This is the story of an ultimate betrayal, a staggering moral contradiction, and the cold, unyielding machinery of a royal cancellation. In the next few minutes, we are going to unpack the quiet event that just shattered the last remaining bridge to Prince Harry's past. We will look at why Hollywood's most powerful elites have abruptly vanished from their orbit, treating them not as royalty but as a reputational hazard, and most importantly, we will decode the dark commercial desperation driving Meghan's latest public maneuver. A maneuver that exposes a breathtaking level of hypocrisy and signals that the Sussex brand is running dangerously low on capital, both moral and financial. To understand the sheer brutality of this current moment, you have to remember the immense privilege and unshakable protection this couple walked away from. There was a time when Prince Harry was the emotional center of the British public. He was the favored son, the charismatic renegade who was protected at all costs. And to truly grasp why this recent snub is tearing his world apart, you have to look at the man who delivered it. You have to remember who Peter Phillips once was to Prince Harry. Go back to the late summer of 1997. When the world was mourning the sudden loss of Princess Diana, Peter Phillips was sent to Balmoral not just as an older cousin, but as an emotional shield for a deeply broken boy. For decades, their bond was the quiet anchor in Harry's chaotic life. They were inseparable. They shared a fierce, unspoken loyalty, a brotherhood forged in the shared trauma of living inside a gilded cage. Peter was the safe harbor, the trusted confidant, the drinking buddy who stood by Harry's side at his own wedding. Peter represented the grounded, fiercely private side of the monarchy, a man who possessed royal blood but demanded a normal life. Successfully navigating the exact path Harry claimed he wanted, but utterly failed to achieve. But time distance and a relentless multi-million-dollar campaign of public grievances changes everything. Fast forward to today, Peter Phillips is preparing for his second marriage. It is the high society event of the season in the United Kingdom, an intimate, heavily guarded gathering of the aristocratic inner circle. Prince William and Princess Catherine are firmly on the guest list. Prince Harry is nowhere to be found. He was not simply overlooked in the sea of names. He was deliberately, surgically erased. This is not just a missed party invitation. It is an act of diplomatic warfare. For years, Harry has operated under the fatal illusion that no matter how much damage he inflicted upon his family on global television, his bloodline would grant him a permanent emotional tether to his relatives. He believed he held a lifetime pass to their empathy. Peter's refusal to invite him shatters that illusion completely. It is the ultimate cancellation, executed not by the press but by his own blood. It signifies that the royal family has entirely closed ranks. They are no longer angry. They have moved past rage into something far more permanent. They are indifferent. And in the ruthless, silent world of the aristocracy, indifference is the ultimate punishment. It is a clear message that the presence of the Duke of Sussex is now viewed as an undeniable liability. Inviting Harry guarantees that the narrative of any event will be hijacked by his brooding demeanor and the inevitable circus of his private security demands. Peter Phillips, a man who values quiet dignity above all else, made a calculated decision to protect his wedding from the Sussex contagion, and this devastating royal exile in the United Kingdom is mirroring a deeper, colder reality across the Atlantic. The Sussex brand, once the most coveted association in the elite circles of Hollywood, has turned incredibly toxic. When Harry and Meghan first arrived in California, they were flanked by the ultimate power players. They were shielded by the aura of Oprah Winfrey. Invited into the orbit of the Obamas and aligned with the Clooneys, they were the ultimate luxury acquisition for American high society. But today, those A-list titans have gone completely quiet. They have vanished from the Sussex narrative. In the brutal mathematics of Hollywood public relations, proximity to constant unresolvable grievance is terrible for business. You can sell a story of escaping oppression once. You cannot build a billion-dollar empire on complaining from a $14 million mansion. The Hollywood elite trade on prestige and forward momentum. Harry and Meghan, trapped in a perpetual loop of settling old scores, are increasingly viewed as a toxic asset. They are finding themselves marooned on a very lonely island, surrounded only by a shrinking circle of paid employees, minor makeup artists, and mid-tier influencers. And it is precisely within this suffocating isolation, within this terrifying realization that the elite's doors are closing, that commercial desperation begins to override public principles. While Harry is reportedly devastated, mourning the loss of his homeland and the total collapse of his familial alliances, his wife is orchestrating a masterclass in moral contradiction. Consider the staggering events of a single week. Meghan Markle was scheduled to deliver a high-minded, deeply serious speech condemning the toxic, life-destroying nature of social media. She has publicly stated that the digital world must not come at the cost of childhood innocence, preaching that modern connectivity is a dangerous bargain. Yet in the exact same breath, a very different strategy was unfolding on her own digital platforms. We witnessed the sudden, highly strategic deployment of their daughter's image on Instagram. In the unforgiving world of high-end public relations, timing is never accidental. There was no royal milestone, it was not a birthday. There was no organic, familial reason for the exposure. What viewers and PR analysts noticed was a calculated weaponization of a child's image to generate digital engagement for a brand that is violently hemorrhaging relevance. It is a staggering level of hypocrisy. You cannot position yourself as a global crusader, protecting the youth from the psychological dangers of the internet, while simultaneously offering up the face of your own child to feed the algorithmic beast of a new lifestyle brand. This is where the philanthropic facade entirely collapses. Let us look at the reality of their charitable machine. Take the Invictus Games, an incredibly noble cause meant to celebrate the resilience of wounded veterans. The participants are undeniable heroes, but increasingly, the public is questioning the immense financial overhead required to facilitate the Duke and Duchess's presence at these events. When the narrative shifts from the sacrifices of the veterans to the cost of Meghan's wardrobe and the logistics of their private jets, the entire enterprise begins to look less like a charity and more like an aggressive brand-building exercise fueled by staggering expenditures. The public can see the difference between quiet, dignified service and a heavily produced PR tour masquerading as empathy. This financial reality, the sheer cost of maintaining their billionaire lifestyle without a billionaire's income, is the invisible engine driving every questionable decision they make. This desperate pivot reveals a terrifying truth about the internal state of the Sussex empire. The pressure is crushing them. Meghan is scrambling to monetize the only remaining asset they have left, crossing ethical lines she herself drew in the sand. But while she is aggressively fighting for commercial survival in California, a far more dangerous and quiet game is being played back in London. Whispers are now leaking from the highest levels of the palace about a secret negotiation. There are reports of a quiet, desperate desire from an ailing King Charles to bring his exiled son back into the royal fold, perhaps even restoring him to a semi-royal status. But this secret royal wish has triggered a catastrophic internal collision, because standing in the doorway blocking Harry's path home is a man who holds the keys to the future, and what happens next will push the monarchy to the absolute breaking point. The impending collision within the House of Windsor is no longer a matter of sibling rivalry. It is a structural crisis. Prince William stands as an unyielding fortress against his brother's return, viewing King Charles's paternal leniency not as mercy but as a catastrophic strategic error. For William, the betrayal documented in memoirs and global interviews was not just a breach of family privacy. It was a calculated multi-million-dollar assault on the integrity of the crown itself. By attempting to quietly open a back door for Harry, King Charles is inadvertently setting a profound public relations bear trap for his eldest son. The reality of the British monarchy is dictated by the relentless ticking of a biological clock. King Charles is an older monarch, battling a highly publicized illness. When the throne eventually passes to William, the new king intends to implement a radical, streamlined modernization of the institution, stripping away the dead wood and living strictly within the public's economic tolerance. If Harry is permitted to re-enter the royal fold now as a semi-royal, William will be forced to execute a second, far more politically damaging eviction the moment he ascends the throne. It would force the future king to start his reign by publicly punishing his own brother. A narrative nightmare that Harry would undoubtedly exploit to its absolute limits, if even a small percentage of the public views the stripping of titles as cruel. Harry will use that domestic divide as fuel for his next commercial media campaign. This reveals the most chilling psychological dimension of the exiled prince. While Meghan's motives are transparently transactional, treating the royal family's ancient titles as corporate intellectual property to be sold via lifestyle brands, Harry operates on a far deeper, more toxic level of narcissism. He is the secret architect of his own martyrdom. He claims to despise the dramatic machinery of the British press, yet he thrives within the chaos of the conflict. He has weaponized his victimhood so completely that he requires the monarchy's rejection to maintain his cultural relevance in America. Without the elite royal lineage to rail against, he becomes just another wealthy, disaffected expatriate in Montecito. This is precisely why the silence from Hollywood is so devastating. The sudden retreat of titans like the Obamas, the Clooneys, and Oprah Winfrey is a cold, calculated corporate decoupling. In the high-stakes economy of American celebrity prestige is built on aspirational power, optimism, and forward momentum. Harry and Meghan have trapped themselves in a permanent loop of settling historical scores. They have overplayed their hand, miscalculating the American public's appetite for perpetual grievance. You can sell the story of your escape from a gilded cage exactly once. When the narrative fails to evolve, when it becomes a repetitive cycle of complaining from a $14 million mansion, the brand shifts from an elite asset into a reputational hazard. What looked like a triumphant exit in 2020 has devolved into an agonizing baseline of commercial survival. Meghan's desperate pivot to monetizing her children on social media, while simultaneously preparing high-minded speeches about digital safety, exposes the absolute exhaustion of their moral capital. The illusion of global statesmanship has completely vanished, replaced by the cold, hard metrics of Instagram engagement and lifestyle product lines. They are learning the most brutal lesson of the modern attention economy. When you commodify your family identity for short-term financial gains, you eventually run out of inventory. Ultimately, this story resonates far beyond the borders of the United Kingdom because it represents the ultimate modern tragedy of individualism, destroying legacy. It is a cautionary tale about the illusion of independent power. Harry traded a 1,000-year-old birthright protected by centuries of tradition and public reverence for transient digital metrics and the fickle endorsement of corporate streaming giants. As the gates of the British aristocracy swing shut and the elite circles of Hollywood continue to freeze them out, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex find themselves trapped in a prison of their own making. They are marooned on a lonely, highly manicured island of luxury, locked out of the very rooms where history is being actively written. Harry is left to mourn a homeland that has learned to move on without him, while William silently prepares to cement a future where his brother is nothing more than a footnote. If you found this forensic analysis of the changing dynamics of power and public relations compelling, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.